Here are 13 new Mac games announced at WWDC 2024. Up first is Dead Island 2, which is coming to Mac by the end of 2024. Now, Dead Island 2 makes perfect sense for Mac. Why? Well, because we had the original Dead Island on Mac back in the day. It was a 32-bit game and was sadly removed due to Mac no longer supporting 32-bit, but we also have Dying Light 1 on Mac, which was built around the AMD Intel Mac cards, but it's also playable on Apple Silicon through Rosetta 2. So I think it's a great idea for Apple to work with Techland because they are familiar with the Apple architecture, and I'm just really excited to give this game a go. I love zombie games. I love the Dead Island franchise and Dying Light, and this game has an amazing gore system that's just really satisfying, and I'm really excited to give it a go. Up next, we have Sniper Elite 4, which is coming to Mac sometime in 2024, and it is also going to be available on iPhone 15 Pro and an iPad with an M series chip. This is a great strategic World War II shooter. A lot of people have been saying, why is Sniper Elite 4 coming and not Sniper Elite 5? For me, I think it's probably good because I've heard that Sniper Elite 4 is still the most popular game in the series, and I think that it will probably sell quite well for Rebellion on Apple platforms. And it's also a pretty good choice just because it's an older AAA release from 8th gen consoles. And so henceforth it should run great on iPhone and iPad, and obviously will run brilliantly on Mac. This game just isn't that demanding. Speaking of iPhone and iPad, I'm hoping that the developer is able to let the game run at 60 FPS on iPhone 15 Pro and new iPads. This port will also support cross-save between all Apple platforms, which obviously makes sense, and will have full controller support. Up next is Wuthering Waves. Now, this one was confirmed a few weeks ago as coming to Mac. It's a gacha game. I don't like gacha games. I'm very open about that on this channel, so I'm not excited for this game at all. But I know that a lot of you out there absolutely adore gacha games, and good for you. So you can be very excited this is coming to Mac at some point. I don't know why it wasn't available on day one, but yeah, we still don't have a release date, but it should be coming pretty soon. I'm hoping that the developer of Genshin Impact is inspired by this and brings their game as well, because a lot of people will be happy about that as well. Moving on, we have Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is definitely the highlight out of all these ports. For me anyway, Ubisoft have their issues, but this game being on Mac is absolutely fantastic. It is coming on the 15th of November. What's also cool is that this game will be coming to M series iPads. Now, we don't know if this will be for M1 and M2 and M4. We'll have to wait and see. However, if you purchase the Ultimate Edition, you can get the game 3 days early on the 12th of November. Anyway, it's been a really long time since we've had an Assassin's Creed game brought to Mac. Many of you might not be aware, but back in the day, Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood were ported natively for Intel Macs. They're not here anymore because they're 32-bit games. This will be one of the first games on Mac that will let you enable ray tracing, which makes light reflect realistically around a space and enhances the realism. Alrighty, Control Ultimate Edition will be coming to Mac sometime in 2024. Now, this one we have a little bit of information about with the port. It's been optimized obviously for Apple Silicon Mac, so it's going to run natively. It will also have support for HDR and metal effects upscaling and hardware accelerated ray tracing. So as same with AC Shadows, it's going to be one of the first games to support this tech, which is really exciting because right now we don't have any any games at all with ray tracing. Yes, this game is pretty old now, it's from 2020, but regardless, I'm still really happy for it to be here. It's an incredibly well-made third-person action adventure game, and it's really popular. Okay, this one really took me by surprise, but Palworld will be coming to Mac in 2024. Palworld is currently pretty much like the most popular game of 2024. So for this game to be available on Mac, I'm sure, well, I'm hoping will inspire many more developers to bring their gaming experience to our platforms. I'm also hoping that the developer considers bringing this game to iPhone 15 Pro and M series iPads, because well, it would also inspire developers to bring their games to those platforms as well, instead of all of their annoying free-to-play stupid dumbed-down mobile games. Palworld. We also don't have many multiplayer experiences like Palworld on Mac. Obviously you can also play in single player, but a lot of this game is revolving around the multiplayer aspects, and that's really exciting. I was really hoping that this would happen. Resident Evil 7 is coming to Mac and also iPhone 15 Pro and M series iPads on the 2nd of July, so it's not far away. This game makes perfect sense to be ported to Apple platforms. Capcom is now obviously very, very familiar with porting their games to a wide range of Apple platforms with Resident Evil 8 and Resident Evil 4 Remake. This is probably one of the least demanding games out of their new RE engine titles, so I think it's going to run absolutely amazing here, considering how well Resident Evil 8 runs on Mac as well. We don't have a release date yet, but Resident Evil 2 will also be coming to Mac and iPhone 15 Pro and M series iPads sometime in the near future. What I'm very curious about is how Capcom are not mentioning Resident Evil 3, which is bizarre because it runs on the same engine and it's basically like an expansion in many ways for RE2, and I'm really hoping that that game comes to the Apple platforms in the future. I'm guessing that the reason these games are here is because the previous games they ported sold well on Apple platforms. Good job, guys. Cyan are back with an Unreal Engine 5 remake of their 1997 puzzle adventure Riven. It's going to be coming to Mac on the 25th of June. This is a complete rewrite of the original game, which was also brought to Mac back in 1997. This version will have free movement through real-time 3D environments made in Unreal Engine 5. It hasn't been announced yet if this game will support ray tracing, but I think it is highly likely. Why? Well, because Cyan have previously announced that their previous titles, Myst and Firmament, will also support ray tracing. I don't know why it's taking so long to bring that to M3 Max. Hurry up. So I really do predict and just hope that this game also supports ray tracing. It's also been confirmed that this game has been optimized specifically for M1 chips and later, so it runs natively. Prince of Persia Lost Crown is coming to Mac in winter 2024. I'm really hoping that they also bring it to iPhone 15 Pro and M series iPads that hasn't been announced, but it would make absolutely no sense for it not to be there. But in classic Ubisoft fashion, we have no idea what's going on with them. They haven't brought Assassin's Creed Mirage to Mac, which is just stupid and makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, this game is going to be native on Apple Silicon and will be exclusive for M1 chips and later. It's a fantastic, stylish, and just a really good, thrilling action-adventure platformer, and it is set in this nice mythological Persian world, It's a pretty good game. Definitely give it a go if you haven't tried it already. It's I don't know what to say. I don't know what else to say. It's really fun. Valheim. It's out on Mac. Pretty much it came out yesterday on the 10th of June. It was announced a few days before WWDC. So many Mac gamers have been asking the developer for this game to be ported to Mac since it was released in early access in 2021, and I'm all for it. It's a brutal exploration and survival experience, and you can play it with like 1 to 10 players, and it's all procedurally generated, and it's apparently inspired by Viking culture. The game has full crossplay support on Mac, and I believe that applies to both the App Store and the Steam version. Coming same day as PC and console, Frostpunk 2 is coming to Mac on the 25th of July. I really liked playing the original Frostpunk on Mac. I reviewed it a few years ago. Not only was it one of the first big Mac games ported to Apple Silicon via Metal 2, but it's also just a great society survival strategy game, and it's really addicting and brutal. This game is going to be set 30 years after the events of the original Frostpunk, and you can curve out entire districts instead of mere buildings as you try to keep an ailing metropolis from tearing itself apart. This game will only be supported on Macs with an M1 chip or later. And our last game is Robocop. Yes, Robocop. We don't know anything about the Mac port yet. This is a really good Robocop interpretation. It's probably the best out there and might be for a very long time. It's also just a really good FPS game, and it definitely didn't get as popular as it should have. I'm hoping that as many of you out there as possible can give this game a go, because it's really well made. It's a true love letter to the 80s Robocop movies. And that's basically it. What do you guys think of these games coming to Mac? Are you impressed or disappointed? Do you think that they will help Mac gaming as a whole, or do you still think that we are going to be left behind at the end of the day? So I think the general thing to take away from this is that a lot of these games are pretty old. I think that's okay, because a lot of them are extremely popular and are still pretty demanding titles, and will be a good showcase of Apple Silicon GPU gaming power. It would be good if Apple could tag on some bigger games like, I don't know, Elden Ring or Cyberpunk. I think that would maybe sell the platform a little bit better, but we'll have to see how these games go in terms of sales, and if it encourages more developers to bring their games to Mac. A lot of these games are, in my opinion, just quite safe games to go with, because Apple has worked with the majority of these developers extensively in the past, so they know what they're doing. I just think Apple need to take some bigger risks in the future to get some bigger games, and people go, oh wow, that game is coming to Mac? Holy shitballs. You know what I really think Apple should consider next year at WWDC? GTA 6. GTA 6, GTA 6. That's all I have to say. GTA 6, boys. Bring it on, guys. Come on, Apple. You can do it. Put your heart into it. GTA 6. Yeah, boys. GTA 6. It will save Mac gaming. Yeah. Anyway, my name's Stewie, and thanks for watching.